Imagine this. It's still dark outside, the kind of early morning when the house is silent and the world feels far away. A phone rings on a bedside table. An older woman reaches for it, half asleep, heart already starting to beat faster, because nobody calls at this hour with good news. She presses the button and hears a panicked voice on the other end. "Grandma, it's me. Please don't hang up." The voice is shaking. The breathing is heavy. There's noise in the background. And for a moment, her brain does the simplest and most human thing in the world. It believes what it hears. That's my grandchild. They sound terrified. Something is horribly wrong, and I might be the only one who can help. The words come out fast, tumbling over each other like someone trying to outrun a disaster. There was a car accident, or a fight, or a problem at the airport. The police are involved, or a hospital, or some official who doesn't want to make things worse. The story shifts to fit the mood, but the feeling is always the same: fear, urgency, and a heavy pressure to act before there is time to think. The caller says they are in trouble, that they made a mistake, that they need bail money or medical money or travel money right now. They beg her not to tell anyone else because they are ashamed or afraid. In that moment, she is not a potential victim of fraud. She is just a grandmother who loves someone more than anything and cannot stand the thought of them suffering alone. For years, scammers relied on rough acting to put off this trick. They would mumble, cry, or keep the line noisy so the grandparent could not clearly hear the voice. They hoped love would fill in the gaps. Today, they no longer have to rely on guesswork. Modern artificial intelligence can clone a human voice so well that even close family members struggle to tell the difference. What sounds like your grandson whispering into the phone may in reality be a line of text typed into a computer, spoken aloud by a program that has studied his recordings and learned every quiver and curve in his speech. This is not science fiction or some far-off future. Law enforcement agencies and consumer protection groups are already warning that criminals are using AI voice cloning to supercharge the so-called grandparent scam, a scheme that has been targeting older adults for years. In the past, the scammer had to hope you would not notice that the voice didn't quite match. Now, the technology does the heavy lifting. It analyzes a short recording of someone talking, breaks it down into tiny details, pitch, rhythm, accent, even breathing, and then uses those details to generate brand new sentences that person never actually spoke, but that sound uncannily like they did. To pull this off, the criminals start long before the first phone call. They go hunting where most of us now keep pieces of our lives, on the internet. They scroll through social media, watching family videos, reading public comments, and following likes and replies. When they see a grandparent commenting, "So proud of you," under a graduation photo, they file that away. When they find a clip of a teenager telling a funny story or singing along to music, they grab it and save the sound. It doesn't need to be long. Just a few clear seconds of voice are often enough for cloning tools to get to work. And those tools are now cheap or even free on countless websites. Step by step, they build a map of the family: grandparents, parents, grandchildren, who lives where, who travels, who studies abroad, who just got a new job. Public posts give away timelines. Just landed in Mexico, first week at college, driving home late after work. Every detail becomes a part of the story the scammer will later tell. The more believable details they mix in, the less likely the victim is to pause and question anything. It feels like reality because much of it was taken from real life. Once they have a suitable voice sample, the next phase begins. The audio is fed into an AI tool that listens to it the way a musician might study a song, only much more precisely. It measures how long each sound lasts, how the pitch rises at the end of a question, how the speaker stumbles or laughs. From there, the tool creates a digital model of that voice. After that, the scammer no longer needs the original recording. They can simply type any sentence they like and hear it read back to them in the cloned voice. "Grandma, I wrecked the car. Please don't tell Mom. I only have one phone call." The software doesn't get tired, doesn't forget the story, and never hesitates. But the voice on its own is not enough. Timing and atmosphere matter just as much. Scammers choose their moment carefully. Late at night, very early in the morning, or during holidays when people are already emotional, these are their favorite windows. They want you half awake, maybe without your glasses on, maybe alone in the house while everyone else is away. When the phone rings at a strange hour and a known voice is crying on the line, your body reacts before your mind catches up. Your heart races, your hands shake, and the logical part of your brain has to fight to be heard over the pounding of fear. The first words are often designed to make you fill in the blanks. "Grandma, it's me. Do you know who this is?" the caller might say, sobbing. If you respond, "Is that you, Jake?" they now have a name to use for the rest of the call. It feels like confirmation to you. Yes, that is Jake. But in reality, you have just handed them the final piece of their disguise. From then on, the fake Jake can sprinkle in personal details the scammers collected from social media. The city where he studies, the car he drives, the names of his parents. Every correct detail lowers your guard a little more. Very often, a second character soon joins the stage. After the grandchild chokes out a few shaky sentences, another voice cuts in, calm, professional, serious. This person claims to be a police officer, a doctor, a lawyer, or even a foreign official. They confirm everything you've just heard and add more formal language, case numbers, charges, medical terms, legal consequences. Suddenly, the call is no longer just an emotional plea. It feels like an official procedure. They might warn you that the situation is sensitive and must be handled quietly. They may say that talking to anyone else about it could jeopardize the case or make things worse for your grandchild. That isolation is not a side effect. It is the goal. With the emotional hook set and the fake authority in place, the script moves toward money. The amount they ask for is carefully chosen. It has to be big enough to be worth their time, but not so large that you immediately say it is impossible. For some, it might be a few $1,000s for bail. For others, it might be several hundred for emergency medical tests or legal fees. They frame it as the only thing standing between your loved one and jail, deportation, or serious medical harm. They may even let you hear the cloned voice in the background, sobbing or whispering, "Please, Grandma, please don't let them take me."
When you finally agree to help, the next twist appears. The strange way they want you to pay. Instead of asking you to come down to the police station or pay through your usual bank channels, they tell you to buy gift cards, use a payment app you barely know, send money through a wire service, or hand cash to a courier who will come to your home. They might keep you on the line while you go to the ATM or the store, giving you instructions the whole time, so there is no quiet moment for doubt to creep in. If a bank teller or cashier asks why you are taking out so much cash or buying so many cards, the voice in your ear may quickly coach you. Just say it's for a home repair, or tell them it's a gift for your family. To someone hearing this story in a calm room, it might seem obvious where the red flags are. But inside the moment, everything feels different. Your mind is crowded with images of your grandchild handcuffed, injured, or crying in a foreign cell. The scammers have carefully removed all the usual safety nets, time to think, people to consult, standard payment channels, and now even the reliability of the voice you hear. It is no wonder that intelligent, cautious older adults have been pulled into these schemes. The game is rigged from the start to use their love against them. The damage, when it happens, reaches far beyond the missing money. People talk about losing their savings, their sense of safety, and their trust in their own judgment. They replay the call in their head, hearing every word, hating themselves for believing it. Many do not tell their children or the police because the shame feels heavier than the financial loss. Meanwhile, the criminals move on to the next number, armed with the same technology, the same script, and the same cold patience. And yet, inside this bleak picture, there is a quiet advantage on your side. Technology may have changed the sound of the call, but it hasn't changed the fact that every scam follows patterns. Once you understand those patterns, the sudden emergency, the secrecy, the pressure, the unusual payment, and now the cloned voice, you can start to see the strings behind the puppet. When you know that a stranger can copy a voice from a 10-second birthday video, you stop treating sound alone as proof of identity. When you recognize that real officials do not demand gift cards at midnight, you begin to trust your doubts instead of your panic. That is where the second half of this story begins. Because while AI has given scammers a new mask to wear, it has not made them invincible. With a few clear habits and simple family rules, you can make their high-tech tricks fall flat, turn their fake emergencies into quiet, boring hang-ups, and keep both your savings and your peace of mind. Now that you know how the trick works, let's talk about something far more important: how to make absolutely sure it never works on you. The good news, the truly liberating news, is that you do not need to understand the science behind artificial intelligence to protect yourself from it. You don't have to learn complicated apps, buy expensive software, or become a technology expert overnight. What you need is something much simpler and much older. A plan you agree on with your family, a set of habits you practice when your mind is calm, so they will still work when your mind is anything but calm. A plan that turns a moment of raw panic back into a moment where you are in control, where you make the decisions, not the voice on the phone. The first and most powerful rule is this: a frightened voice on the phone, no matter how perfectly it sounds like someone you love, can never again be your only proof of who is really calling. For your entire life, you were taught that when you recognize a voice, you know the person. That used to be a safe assumption. It stopped being safe the moment criminals learned how to copy voices with software that costs them almost nothing and takes them only minutes to use. Now you must add one extra step. And it is a step so simple that it feels almost insulting to say out loud, but it is also the step that saves people thousands of dollars every single day. If your grandchild calls you and begs for money, especially with urgency, you have every right, more than a right, you have a responsibility to yourself to say, "I will call you right back in 1 minute," and then hang up. Not argue, not explain, not apologize, just hang up. Then you pick up your phone book or your contact list and you call your grandchild on the number you already know is real. Not the number that just called you. The number you have written down or stored in your phone months ago, or that you dialed 100 times before. If your grandchild answers calm and confused, if they say, "Grandma, I'm at home watching TV, what are you talking about?" then you will know in that instant that you just dodged one of the most expensive traps a criminal can set. And if by some rare chance there really is an emergency and your grandchild is genuinely in trouble, that one extra minute of delay will not ruin anything. Real police, real hospitals, real officials understand that people need time to verify information. Only scammers insist that every second counts and that checking will doom someone you love. Here is the psychology they are counting on you to ignore. The moment you hear that panicked voice, your body floods with adrenaline. Your heart pounds, your hands shake. Your thoughts narrow to a single tunnel: save this person I love. In that state, hanging up feels cruel, cold, even dangerous. What if they are really in trouble and I abandon them? But that feeling is exactly what the scammer planted. They designed the call to make you feel that pausing, checking, or asking questions is the same as betraying your family. It is not. Pausing is love. Checking is wisdom. And hanging up on a voice that might be fake is not cruel. It is the most responsible thing you can do for the real person whose voice was stolen. To make this verification step even more reliable, many families are now creating what is called a family code word or a verification question. This is not complicated. It is simply a word, a phrase, or a question that only you and your closest family members know, and that you would never say in public, never post online, and never mention in a video. It might be the name of the street where you lived when your children were young. It could be a nickname you gave to a pet 20 years ago. It could be the punchline of a family joke that no outsider would understand. The specific word does not matter as much as the agreement around it. If anyone in the family ever calls asking for urgent help with money, you will ask them, "What is our code word?" or "What was the name of our dog when you were 5?" And you will not send a cent until you hear the correct answer.
A scammer using a cloned voice can sound exactly like your grandson. They can cry, they can shout, they can beg, but they cannot answer a question about something that was never written down, never filmed, never shared beyond the four walls of your home. And if, one day, your real grandchild is in genuine trouble and is so rattled that they blank on the code word for a moment, you can still say, "Okay, I'm hanging up now and calling you back on your regular number in 60 seconds. If it is really them, they will understand. If it is a scammer, the line will go dead the moment you mention calling back, because they know their game is over. Choosing the code word is something you should do together, sitting around a table when everyone is calm. Make it memorable but not obvious. Avoid things like family or love or your grandchild's name. Those are too easy to guess or too generic to be useful. Instead, pick something specific and personal. The color of the car you drove to their first day of school, the name of the town where you spent a summer vacation in 1987, the title of a bedtime story you used to read. Write it down on a piece of paper and keep it somewhere private, not on your phone or computer where it could be hacked or seen. And then, every few months, remind each other what it is, so nobody forgets when it matters most. The second rule is about time, and this is where scammers reveal themselves most clearly, if you know what to listen for. They win only when you feel rushed. They lose the moment you slow down. Every single script they use is built around the idea that you have no time to think. The judge is leaving the courthouse in 15 minutes. We have to pay the bail right now or he stays in jail all weekend. The hospital needs payment in the next hour or they will not treat him. If you tell anyone else, the deal is off and he will be deported. These are not the words of people trying to help you. These are the words of people trying to control you. You can shatter that control with one simple sentence, spoken calmly and firmly. If this situation is real and urgent, it will still be real in 10 minutes while I make sure I am talking to the right person. Then hang up and verify. A real emergency does not vanish because you took a moment to check. A real police officer does not threaten you for wanting to call the station directly. A real lawyer does not forbid you from speaking to your own family. Only a scammer needs you to act immediately, alone, and without question, because the moment you pause, the moment you check, the whole illusion falls apart. Think about what real emergencies actually look like. If your grandchild is genuinely arrested, the police will give them a phone call, but that call goes to a parent or a lawyer, not directly to a grandparent, with instructions to wire money to a stranger. If there is a serious medical issue, the hospital contacts the next of kin listed on official forms, and they ask for insurance information, not for gift cards. Real institutions have processes, paperwork, and patience. Scammers have only pressure. The faster they push, the less real the situation is. The third rule has to do with how they ask you to send money, and this is often the clearest giveaway of all. If someone who claims to represent the government, a hospital, a police department, or any legitimate organization tells you to pay using gift cards, peer-to-peer apps you barely know, cryptocurrency, or a wire transfer to an individual's name, your mental alarm should be screaming. No real government office accepts Amazon gift cards as payment for bail. No real hospital asks you to buy iTunes cards to cover surgery costs.
No legitimate legal process requires you to go to a convenience store, buy cards, scratch off the codes, and read the numbers over the phone to a stranger. Why do scammers insist on these methods? Because they are almost impossible to trace and almost impossible to reverse. Once you give someone the code from a gift card, that money is gone. They can spend it, sell it, or transfer it instantly, and there is no bank that can pull it back for you. Wire transfers work the same way. Once the money leaves your account, it moves through a chain of countries and accounts so fast that law enforcement rarely catches it. Cryptocurrency is even more anonymous. Payment apps, when used between strangers, offer little protection. These are all designed to be fast and convenient for normal people, but that same speed and convenience makes them perfect tools for theft. Compare that to how real institutions handle money. If you owe a fine, they send a letter with instructions to pay online, through an official website, or they tell you to mail a check, or they give you an account number to use at your bank. If you need to post bail, you go to a courthouse or you work with a registered bail bond agent who has an office, a license, and a paper trail. Everything is slow, verified, and documented. Scammers can't afford any of that because documentation is their enemy. So they invent reasons why you must use these strange, untraceable methods. The system is down. This is faster. We are trying to help you avoid extra fees. None of it is true. It is all designed to get your money into a form they can grab and vanish with. If you ever find yourself standing in a store buying gift cards because a voice on the phone told you to, and that voice is keeping you on the line while you do it, I need you to do something that may feel rude but could save your life savings. Hang up, walk away from the register, sit down somewhere quiet, and call a family member or a friend. Explain what just happened. Listen to what they say. Often, the simple act of saying it out loud, "Someone called and said my grandson is in jail and I need to buy gift cards to get him out," is enough to make you hear how strange it sounds. The spell breaks. You are no longer alone in the tunnel of panic.
The fourth rule is about what you and your family share online, and this is something many people overlook because it feels so normal to post pictures and videos. But every time you or your grandchildren upload a clip where their voice is clear, a birthday message, a funny story, a song, a school presentation, you are handing out free samples of that voice to anyone who wants it. Criminals do not have to hack anything. They just scroll, watch, and download. Most people never imagine that a cheerful 15-second video could become the seed of a scam 6 months later, but that is exactly how it works. This does not mean you should delete all your social media or stop sharing moments with family. It means you should think about privacy settings and be more selective. Ask your children and grandchildren to check whether their accounts are set to public or private. If they are public, anyone in the world can see and save those videos. If they are set to friends only or private, that cuts down the pool of people who can access them dramatically. It is not perfect. Someone could still share a video outside the group, or a hacked account could leak it. But it is a much stronger fence than leaving everything wide open. For older videos and posts that don't matter anymore, consider going back and deleting them or making them private. A video of your grandson singing at a family dinner 3 years ago might have been lovely to share at the time. But if nobody looks at it anymore, there is no harm in taking it down. The less raw material criminals have to work with, the harder it is for them to build a convincing clone. Some people even go further and ask family members not to post videos with clear voice at all, saving those moments just for private family group chats or personal messages where the audience is small and trusted. That might feel extreme, but in a world where your voice can be stolen and weaponized, a little caution is not paranoia. It is just smart. This also applies to voicemails and phone messages. If your voicemail greeting includes your name, your voice, and a cheerful message, that is another sample sitting out in the open. Consider using a shorter, more generic greeting, or even just the default robotic voice the phone company provides. It feels less personal, but it also gives criminals nothing to copy. The fifth rule is to have a real, detailed conversation with your family about what a genuine emergency would look like and how they would contact you if one ever happened.
This is a conversation to have at the kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon, not at 3 in the morning when your heart is racing. Sit down together, grandparents, children, grandchildren, and talk through scenarios. Ask directly, if you ever got arrested, who would call me? From what kind of number? What would they say? Ask, if you were in an accident, who would reach out? Would it be you or would it be a hospital calling from an official number? Ask, if you needed money urgently, how would you ask me? Would you keep it secret from your parents? Most of the time, the answers are simple and reassuring. In most real emergencies, your grandchild's parents would be contacted first. If they could not be reached, the call would come from an official number, a police station, a hospital, a government office, not from a random cell phone. The caller would give you verifiable information, case numbers, badge numbers, direct phone numbers you could call back. They would never tell you to hide the situation from other family members. They would never insist that you act within minutes. And they would never, ever demand payment in gift cards or by wire transfer to a stranger. When your family agrees on these expectations ahead of time, the typical scam story stops making sense the moment you hear it. If your grandson calls and says, "Don't tell mom, I'm so embarrassed, just help me quietly," you will remember that real emergencies don't work that way, and that your real grandson promised he would never ask you to keep secrets like that. That memory, planted in a calm moment, becomes a life raft you can grab onto when you are drowning in fear. Some families take this even further and agree on a simple backup rule. If I ever call you asking for money and it sounds even a little bit off, you have permission to hang up and call mom or dad before you do anything else. That permission is powerful. It removes the fear of hurting someone's feelings or making a situation worse. It tells the grandparent clearly and firmly that double-checking is not betrayal. It is protection. The sixth rule, and this one is hard to talk about, is what to do if, despite everything, you still get caught. Maybe the voice was so perfect, the story so overwhelming, the fear so overwhelming that you sent money before you had time to think. Maybe you are reading this now with a sinking feeling because it already happened to you last week, last month, or last year. If that is true, I need you to hear this. You are not alone, you are not stupid, and there are still steps you can take. First, contact your bank immediately. Explain exactly what happened. If the money was transferred through your bank or a payment app connected to your account, there is a chance, small but real, that the transaction can be stopped or reversed, especially if you act within the first hours. Even if the money is already gone, the bank can freeze your account or card to prevent additional fraud. Banks have fraud departments trained to handle these situations, and they have heard this story many, many times before. You are not the first, and sadly, you will not be the last. Second, report the scam to the police or to your country's fraud hotline. In the United States, that would be the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center or the Federal Trade Commission. In Canada, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. Other countries have similar agencies. Your report might feel like a drop in the ocean, but it is not. Investigators use these reports to track patterns, identify criminal networks, and sometimes, in lucky cases, recover money or arrest the people responsible. Even if your specific money is gone, your report might protect the next person on their list.
Third, and this is just as important, tell your family. I know the instinct is to hide it, to feel ashamed, to avoid the conversation because you think they will blame you or call you careless. But silence is exactly what scammers want because it allows them to keep working. Your children and grandchildren need to know that someone targeted you using their voice, because that same someone might try it on another relative next. Your story is not a confession of failure. It is a warning, a shield, and an act of love. When you speak up, you rob the criminals of the secrecy they rely on. If you are afraid of judgment, start the conversation this way. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen without anger because this could happen to anyone. Then explain. Most people, when they hear the full details of how these scams are built, respond not with blame, but with alarm and empathy. They realize how sophisticated the attack was and how easy it would be to fall for it themselves. The seventh and perhaps most difficult rule is this: do not turn your anger inward. These AI-powered scams are not designed to trick careless or gullible people. They are designed to trick loving people. They work because you care deeply for your grandchildren. They work because you cannot stand the thought of them suffering, because you would give anything to protect them, and because your instinct is to help first and ask questions later. That instinct is not a flaw. It is what makes you a good grandparent. The criminals know that, and they exploit it with the same cold precision that a thief uses to pick a lock. Do not let them steal your self-respect along with your money. You were targeted by professionals who study psychology, who test their scripts on thousands of victims, and who use cutting-edge technology to make their lies sound real. If you felt panic, if you felt confusion, if you believed what you heard, that does not mean you are foolish. It means your heart works the way it is supposed to work. All we are doing here is adding a few small habits and a few clear agreements so that your love stops being a weapon they can use against you. There is also a broader truth hiding in all of this. The same technology that makes voice cloning possible also makes it more important than ever to slow down and verify. In a world where sound alone is no longer proof, we have to rely on something older and stronger: relationships, agreements, patterns, and trust that has been built over years. The criminals can copy a voice in 10 seconds, but they cannot copy the years of shared memories, inside jokes, and quiet understandings that make up a real family. When you ask a question only your real grandchild can answer, or when you take the time to call them back on the number you have trusted for years, you are choosing that deeper connection over the shallow imitation. And that choice is what keeps you safe. So when your phone rings at a strange hour and a familiar voice is on the line crying for help, you will no longer be defenseless. You will remember that voices can be faked. You will remember your code word, your family agreements, your right to hang up and verify. You will feel the fear because fear is natural when someone you love seems to be in danger. But you will not let that fear make your decisions for you. You will take one breath, you will follow your plan, and you will protect both the person you love and the life you have built. If you have stayed with me to the end of this story, you have done something rare and valuable. You have looked a new kind of danger in the face and learned how to diffuse it. Now is the moment to share that knowledge. Talk to your spouse, your siblings, your neighbors, your friends. Show them this video or tell them the story in your own words. The criminals are counting on people not knowing how the scam works. Every person you warn is one less victim they can claim. Every family that sets up a code word is one more wall they cannot break through. Your awareness, shared and spread, is a kind of shield that grows stronger the more people hold it. And that is how we fight back, not with technology, but with knowledge, with conversation, and with the simple, stubborn refusal to let fear make us forget who we really are.